Hey, what's going on, Taco fam? So this is the deck profile that I was telling you guys about. So unfortunately, it was leaked a little bit early on some other channels. I was trying to keep it hush hush until I had it figured out, but I'm playing Tri-Mera, which is Tri-Brigade and Chimera. So I'll definitely talk about some of the ratios. So you can play this like a little bit over 40, but I'm trying my best to keep it at 40. So for the Tri engine, we play 3 fractal. I know previously I wasn't playing this, but I felt like it might have been a little bit more needed, at least getting an extra name, but it wasn't necessary. 3 kit, 3 Norval, and 2 Karis. So pretty much keeping it this at a minimum with 11 names. Karis is kind of the worst one, only because you have to have another BBW in your hand, pretty much. Discard it to summon it. But outside of that, they all actually function fairly well. And then for the Chimera engine, I definitely consolidated it. So this is actually one of the more important ones in this version, the Codal, because this gets you pretty much to the reason why this deck functions so well together is because of Gazelle being a beast. So basically, you summon this, you can use Farigite to even summon it too, and it lets you get a Chimera fusion to your hand. So that's one of the main reasons. And once you fuse it off or whatever, you get to add an illusion monster. So you can add this, or you can add the Mirror Knight. That's not it for the engine. Got a little bit. And then the 2 Baphomet and the 1 Mirror Knight. So I feel like in this version, the Tri-Brigade names are more important to normal summon. So you don't necessarily need this. You typically search this for the follow-up. Because you don't want to sit here and summon this and then tribute it off. It gets Ash and then you pretty much don't do anything. But at least if your Tri-Brigade cards get interacted with, most of the time the bodies are still on board. So you can still do whatever with them. And the 2 Baphomet, I'm only playing 2 because this card bricks. But once you get it on the board, it's insane because it gets you 2 cards. And post side, there's a card that you can use and search with off of him. So I feel like 2 is all right. And you could pretty much only use him as the fiend target to summon the big king, unless you're using extra deck stuff. For hand traps, so playing 3 Ash. It's a generic hand trap, so why not? And the only other 3 of a hand trap I'm playing is DD Crow, because this is Tri-Brigade after all, so this is always searchable. I just actually want to hard draw this. The reason why I play it is so against Pearly, you pretty much hit their spells and traps whenever they target them in the grave. And you want to try to make sure that Noir doesn't have a boost. That's all you really care about. And it's level 1, so it can come up. And then for the other hand traps, so this is going to be really weird. So I'm playing 4 1-ups. So playing Nib, Moonlit, playing Ghost Spell, and I'm playing Veiler. They all serve different purposes. And the reason why I'm playing 1-ups because one, I don't want to open too many of these. And 2, as you're playing the game and as you're drawing cards, you could potentially draw into these, like either with Farigite or with something like Chimera. So you don't really want to brick on too many of these. The reason why we play 3-0s on the other one, outside of Crow being not once per turn, it's just Ashes, just like I said, generic. So, yep, playing 10 of those hand traps. And then for the spells, 10 key just for the Fractal. Pretty much nothing else to say about it. I'm playing 2 Chimera Fusion. I feel like maybe you might need a 3rd, but for the most part, I don't think you will. Because worst case, you could use this to make Magna the reliever. And this will just put it to the bottom. And if you make the king, obviously, you can just activate it to add it back to your hand. So that does come up. We don't play the vanillas, so we're pretty much not going to ever banish this to summon it too. So I don't think that makes a lot of sense. Foolish, because it's a starter. It just sends Kit or it just sends Nerval, pretty much. More not engine cards, so once again, playing Book of Eclipse. This card's actually really good. Helps you in the cash matchup, helps you in a pearly matchup, all those kind of things. And that's kind of what matters. You just don't want them to out pressure you, because cash is a really hard matchup for this deck. So obviously this deck will get better, you know, post side and like post ban list. Because at least post side, you can put in more hate for it and just kind of move your deck around. And post ban list, hopefully it'll be a lot better. So if you do want to give that a try, you should. And then the last card in the deck, one Revolt. This is still really good. Ending on Revolt is insane. There's an interaction with this card that I could show you, and I'll tell you about later. So I'll put it to the side for now. All right, that's it for the main deck. That's 40. And then extra deck, got Chimera, and then the other Chimera. So this card's really good, and he's kind of one of the reasons that I really wanted to play this deck. Just for the fact that it takes a Beast and a Fiend is actually pretty good, and it has a really good graveyard effect. Just hand ripping your opponent, just to me, is really good, and he's actually a part of why we play that. So I'll put both of these down there. Magna the Reliever, because you know we're gonna put on the magnums so we can relieve her. Anyway, card's really good. We played one of the Illusion, the big Illusion Beast, only because he could randomly come up for OTKs. I guess so, you know. And sometimes you just want to have this to not die. So even if you just need to block, you just put this in defense if you need to, if you feel like they can kill it. Because anything that this battles, if it's not an illusion, because, you know, all illusion monsters are like that, then it's just not going to die. And I think, if correct me if I'm wrong on this, let's see. Yeah, and if he is battled, I can just make that monster 0. So, and then for the links, got a lot of them, All Mirage and the Scareclaw. So these are the easy link ones that you can pretty much make. And this is one of the best ones that, you know, Tri-Brigade has access to, like early game, if you like opening like one try name and stuff like that. So it can't come up whenever you use their effects. Bear Broom, this is how you get to your Revolt. 2 Farragut. This card's really good, just giving you a draw, and using this with Chimera Fusion during your opponent's turn, you get to fuse this off and whatever else. If you make Chimera, you could draw some cards, and if you use this, you can also draw another card. So you can kind of fix your hand too. And the fact that you can use this, sorry, looking for it, should have pulled it to the side for you, but special this from your hand pretty much. That's why this is more important than some of the other ones. Because you just special this, it's a beast, and you just search for the Chimera Fusion right there. Then 2 Shrag. So yeah, I thought initially I was only going to need one of these, but through some more testing, especially today, it definitely came up having multiples. And the fact that this could search any of your wing beasts to your hand too. Wing Beast, Beast Warrior, or Beast, so it's kind of important. Rugal, I actually like this guy being a link 3, and how you could just revive one of your beasts during your opponent's turn. That's just really good. And actually lowering their attack actually does come up sometimes. So this is going to be weird, but a link 4 that I chose was Abomination. So yeah, I know some people play Appaloosa, but we're all about destructing and disrupting our opponents. So this has multiple purposes. 1, you can use Chimera Fusion with this card because it is a fiend, so it does meet the requirements. And 2, when you're blowing up cards with like Chimera and stuff, you get to pop more cards. So I think this card might be needed in this deck. It seems really good. And the last one, this was just a flex spot. I didn't know what else to put, but Pit Knight early. This card's actually good, so if any monster that he points to activates its effect, you could just negate a monster and make it 0. So it does come up. And it has a revive effect, but I don't think that's going to come up very much. All right, so I'm going to get to the interaction that I was talking about. I'll pull out all the illusion beasts for you. And this. So say you already did your play, you have it set up to get to your Revolt. You have Revolt, you have this engraved, you can add it back. So this is typically what you want your inboards to have, at least these 2 special traps, typically. And you probably ran through the Baphomet you probably ran through at least one of each of the engine almost. So yeah, you pretty much almost run through each of these. And you probably have the king in the grave too. So a play that you can make, because this does lock you. Let's say we have these both set. Your opponent's turn, you activate king in grave. Effect to target the Baphomet. See if they have a response. And this will lock you. So that's why you chain. So you can bring this back and all your beast warriors and stuff like that. Send them to the grave. Link summon. And you make Chirac. So now this will resolve summoning, and then whatever beast warriors and stuff that you use probably have effects too. So you can just chain block everything, and then this would trigger, also locking you into not fiends, it's fusion. So you pretty much use this effect, search another copy of the fusion, and you could search like this. You search this so that now whenever you do this, you also already gave yourself more targets for the Chimera. So the Chimera is even more live. So you can do this play during your opponent's turn before, and you put the king back into the graveyard with this play. So that every turn during their turn, you get to keep doing the same thing, except without the revolt. You get to at least keep banishing this to revive it, because it's a beast. So it does come up a lot of the time. It gives you a lot of good options. And it gives you a lot of defense during their turn. So now with that out of the way, real quick, the problem that I can see with this deck is the same problem Vanadium has. Droll and Lockbird. So you kind of have to make a lot of decisions. Like, this deck rewards you for making good decisions. So if you have a hard time playing around Droll, you have to prioritize what searches you need based on your hand. And you got to know what your inboard is, what you want your inboard to look like. So especially because a lot of people are maining Droll. So that can come up a lot. Like I said, with the ban list, potentially it could get a lot better. Or, you know, you could just put them on having the Droll. But you have to know what to do if they actually do have the Droll. But at least post side, you do have this. So I actually like this card. King Tiger and Wagyu. This card is actually funny. It's a mini flood that you can just search. Because you use the Baphomet, search you any level 4 beast. There you go. You just search this. You can fuse it off, send it to the grave. And with the king, when your opponent tries to summon, say they activate starter, you could chain king, banish, and target this to bring it out. Whatever they bring out, since their turn player, they're going to use the effect, and then you're going to trigger this to blow it up. And Sprite has a hard time because they're not going to have multiple monsters on the field at the same time. They have to open like a way to stop this. And it's a constant floodgate. So the only deck it's not very good against is something like Cash, obviously. But that's the problem with Cash. It's always an anchor for every deck. But, you know, this is a branded channel, so, you know, we can't leave home without these guys. So these are definitely some of the cards that I was playing beforehand. Like, these are my fusion targets. And I'll get to why. Because I was playing Mercarrier because it's a Tri-Brigade for one. And it's a great discard. And whenever you fuse it off and you banish it, you get to search. So some of the main search targets was this. So this searching this. And then this sending this so that you get a draw. And then you could banish this to add this back. So, you know, like the older Tri-Brigade plays that they were doing with Vertate, you pretty much could do the same thing with that. Or the other thing that you could do, since Kit's a beast, you could search her, as y'all know. And High Spirits and Albaz. So this engine's actually really fun. I played it today and I had a good time playing it. Like, this card's really good for unbricking your hand and getting a lot of beast warriors and stuff out of your hand, because sometimes they do get stuck. And some of the best targets: Brigand, because it's a beast; Rembrandt, because it's a wing beast. And with this gets you to all your Tri-Brigades, so even this. But you also can end up summoning Albaz off of this. And typically, if you summon Albaz off of this, you can make this. And if this gets gone, and was gotten rid of in some way, shape, or form, you just get to the kit. And then kit could add this back and then put it back to the bottom pretty much. So you have the same thing, or you can put this back and do the same thing over it. And these, obviously, these are pretty generic on that aspect. Because typically, Albaz Any Dark makes this, and you can shuffle back your resources. So even shuffle back some of your Chimera monsters to end up summoning them. And you can just leave this on the field and just put back a Beast and a Fiend from the graveyard. And then boom, you have this. You fusion summon this again, and then boom, you get to hand loop them also, especially during end phase. So yeah, that was definitely my take on this deck. This is what I've been working on, and I hope you guys enjoy this. If you do, please leave me a like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.